Well, all right. Tigo, I got to admit, we were already on screen when it started here. So that was a little tricky. Sorry, everybody. Um, I don't know why it's not on YouTube yet. What's going on here? Did I do that again? There's no fucking way I did it again. Right? There's no way, Tigo. I'm on Talking Jets. Why isn't it on YouTube? Turn on YouTube.
Oh, it is. It is.
It is?
Yep.
Why is my YouTube not working? Oh.
It took a second.
All right. But we were on there before I hit. Anyway, hello, everybody. The very ever professional GreenBean here with his good friend Talking Jets with Tigo. And it is Wednesday night. So that means it is the ArmChair GM. We are in the quiet hours of the season, but we have some stuff to discuss today. There was a signing recently. We have some interviews going on. We have Quinnen Williams making some funny statements, Tigo, today. So we got some stuff. I'd like to start by saying hello to the very few people that are in here right now. We have a light crowd of it's going up a little bit. There it is. So hello, Dakota, coming in first. He's psyched. Dakota's on fire this year. He's ready for some damn winning. That's what I think. Dakota is ready, Tigo. Tony Alexio in the house. He gives Dakota the trophy. That's good. Tony Alexio, we love you, buddy. You know that. Tommy Anderson's coming on in, ready for the show. Ryder and Talon's Pa. What am I drinking tonight? The same thing I'm drinking every night. Fucking seltzer and moonshine. All right, everybody. I was driving home today, Tigo. And as you know, I don't drink. And I'm driving home and I turn on YouTube. I like to listen to YouTube, fucking ancient history and whatever on the way home, mellow out, decompress. And I see Jake Asman is live. So I said, let me listen to Jake. Why not? And I just checked in and said, hey, what's up? And he said, hey, if you're available, chime in, jump on GreenBean. We'll get you on the show. You'll jump the line. And I said, I can't. What I wrote was, I'm driving on Virginia country roads. Reception is terrible. And I wrote that, but the autocorrect wrote, I'm drunk on Virginia roads. And I saw people chiming in like, wait, he's dry. Like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, Jake kind of made light of it. I'm like, well, dude, if I wrote in, I'm drunk driving on Virginia roads, ask me where I am and call the cops, please. You know what I mean? Do that.
Something went tragically wrong.
Yeah. Like not only am I drinking, but dude, I'm right in the car. I don't care.
like Jake should know about all of the, the history, how many years it's been. If that's the message, Gunny, GreenBean, I want you to know that if that message came through, I would call the cops.
Thank you. It's very important. At least call my wife so I can't, keep this facade going any longer. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't end well for me, Tigo. My last beer was in 2010. Before that, my last beer was years before that, too. I had one Frosty Mug Budweiser in Chili's restaurant in the Fort Lauderdale airport, which is, I was there for the other day and at the airport, and it was last week, and it wasn't there anymore. But I was like, oh, I like to walk by it and go, oh, there's my last beer, and it's gone. But boy, oh boy, that beer, I was going to have like 6 or 7 before I got on my flight, and it tasted like absolute piss. It was frosty. It looked like just like a perfect beer, perfect head. And I was like, whoa, I couldn't even get it down. I said, I'm not doing this. I had one beer. What is that? 14 years ago.
Yep.
So, but anyway, yeah, look, Infrared saw it. He said, Jake thought you were drinking and driving. I know, man. He's like, well, if that settles down, give me a call. But like Ryder and Talon, I'm drinking water, buddy. That's what I drink. I drink water. I drink seltzer every now and then. I drink a Mountain Dew or something like that. But yeah, I'm pretty tame. Man. Who else is here? Huge Erection is in the house. It's great. It's great news too. We're happy for Hugh. It's like, not everybody not everybody has what Hugh has.
Mm-hmm.
Adirondack Fly Guy in the house. What's up with you? Note is here. Yeah, man. Dano's back. Good to see you, Dano. I hope I'll see you in an hour in the GreenBean Beanbagger Discord hangout. That'll be fun. My good buddy Harry's here. He'll be there. He'll be in the Beanbagger private hang. Clancy's in the house. Phenom's here. Fernando. Yeah. Braden's in the house. Another Beanbagger. He's got back from kayak fit. Now, Braden being down there in New Zealand has a different, when we're winding down, he's just getting started for the day tomorrow, usually, which is interesting. But nice. That sounds wonderful. Hope you caught some fish that you're going to eat. That's what I like to. If you're going to catch them, eat them, Braden. That's my thought. That's my 2 cents on the matter. Who else is here? She's a dragon. Well, hello, she's a dragon. I wonder if she's a dragon. Is she? What do you think?
Maybe. Or is she? Because it's talking about somebody else, right? She's is that her talking about herself in the third person? This is the philosophical questions that you have to ask yourself about YouTube names. Sometimes you got to get into it. Like Hugh, you got to ask yourselves and got to keep going. Is Frankie really from Flatbush? Who knows? It's the philosophy of the whole thing.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. It's like this guy, like Frankie from Flatbush. Like, is that just like a band name, or like is that a guy named Frankie from Flatbush?
Or did he come from like a flat bush?
Oh, that's a wrinkle. Yeah, right. Now he's asking if there's a rattlesnake. Frankie, from what I remember, this gentleman moved from the great metro Pittsburgh area to somewhere in Florida. So I'm going to tell you right now, there is definitely a rattlesnake outside.
At all times.
Always.
There's never not a snake around your house. I can tell you that right now with confidence. You just don't know where he is.
Right. He might not show himself.
He's there.
He's there. Him and some iguanas and all kinds of creepy, crawly, black-eyed kids and ghosts and shit. Florida's a crazy place, dude.
Oh yeah,
Florida's crazy.
Who are you talking to? I know.
Yeah,
especially
you're
the further
there.
south you go, the closer to the swamp you get, the bigger the snakes are.
Right. That's very true. And you don't want to go any deeper than the outside unless you're with an airboat guy who knows how to handle it or something, or some bushwhacker type, because you're not coming back.
No, you want to find a guy who goes into the swamp barefoot. That's the guy you want.
That's the guy, crazy. Right? That's a good way to say it. Yeah. So let's start the show with the most important thing of the week. I want you guys to see this. If you haven't seen it, if anybody on Twitter has definitely seen it, because it's making the rounds right now. It's getting fucking DM'd to me, for God's sakes, this one.
Of course it is, GreenBean. It's your guy.
It is my guy. So this is Aaron Rodgers throwing a dart to the one and only, the great Kenny Yeboah, everybody. Now, I want you to see the dig at the end. Now, he's a big tight end, so he's not going to be sprightly looking like maybe a G-Dubs. But I want you guys to focus on the dig. Now, I'll keep it silent because the music is intrusive, in my opinion. So let's just watch this one. There's A-Rod. He's winding up. Here it comes. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Look at the dig. That's right, Eccles. Get off my shit. Eccles and Tony Adams split him up. Look at Ruckert over there to congrats. Boom. Ooh, that was nice from Ruckert. You see that? Tigo? Look at this.
Oh, Agent Zero. Oh, I love it.
Look at this Ruckert commitment to the celebration here. Look at that.
You gotta commit. You gotta commit for your boys.
Guys, can you see this? Let me make sure.
It's how you show you're bought in. It's how you show you're all in.
I can't zoom in anymore. Guys, look at Ruckert and Yeboah. Look what they're doing. This is beautiful. I think I love this. So one more time for the kids. Here's Aaron Rodgers tossing it. Look at this. Right over. Who is that? Trying to almost got it. But, A-Rod with the perfect pass. And here comes the celebration. Ruckert is very excited. Does the Spider-Man spread. All right. Oh, yeah, and Agent Zero. Right. There he is. Braylon Allen, everybody. Boom. All right.
I love that the Zero is in the NFL now.
I do too.
It
I'm
looks
a big
so
fan.
good.
I'm a big fan. So yeah, that's right, man. Infrared likes it. Beans boy. Frankie, I was hanging out with Huge Erection when I saw this play. For the first time, we were together. But yeah, it's nice to see some stuff in camp. And look, we can't, like we talked about last week, I think Tigo and I, or 2 weeks ago. Were you together last week? We did, right?
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So we were talking about how hyped we get. How hyped should we get for any of this stuff coming out of camp? How high or how low should we get? And so it's all in stride. But seeing Kenny Yeboah with the ones is really what I'm more delighted with. He's out there with A-Rod as opposed to Tim Boyle. Who's our well, I guess it would be Taylor's not going to play, or Travis, I mean.
Yeah, no.
So who's our 3 right now?
No? It's some rookie.
Let me see. New York Jets depth chart. Let me just see what's going on here this is for Harry, right? Of course, Harry and I like to talk about depth charts.
Andrew Peasley.
That's right, Peasley. We were watching him in the Beanbagger Discord just last week. We were checking out Peasley. That's right. So it's nice to see Yeboah getting some love. But so I'm not getting too high. But again, where I'm happy is I like to see him with A-Rod. Because A-Rod's got sway. So if A-Rod's, tossing the ball around and says, hey, man, just so you know, I like this kid. He's got soft hands. He ran the correct route. That kind of a thing. Then it's going to bode well for getting him some offensive reps. I don't think he should overtake Ruckert or Conklin. That's not what I'm saying. But I would like to see him out there. I'd like to see him in 2 tight end packages as well. Potentially 3 tight ends. We saw 13 personnel last year on many occasions. More than I remember seeing, quite frankly. So it'd be nice to have some confidence in Yeboah and use him as a potential weapon of relief. In addition to sealing the edge or blowing the hole open, whatever it might be. But the other thing is, so while I'm not getting too excited about that, there is a potential reason to be down. And I'm going to just throw this one at Tigo. I've been talking a lot. So I want to hear Tigo's silky voice. And I want to talk a little bit about Alan Lazard. Alan Lazard, I'm sure you have the numbers, but not a good day with Aaron Rodgers. One of the things I've been saying is that, hey guys, we got to give him a chance here. Like we're all down on him, but we do know that he's played significantly better with Aaron Rodgers over a 4-year span, really 5, but 4 years. So let's not let the 1 year with Zach Wilson take too much off the top. But today, not good. So what are you thinking about this? And give us the stats first, if you wouldn't mind.
First, let me start off by saying I'm done with Alan Lazard. I'm done. I know that a week ago, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, we talked about taking it easy and not overreacting to OTAs. It's still only voluntary. Not everyone is there yet. I get all of that. But just to put it into perspective, this is a tweet from Connor Hughes today. The Jets' starting offense had a 1st and goal and did not score from inside the 10. The reps were an incompletion to Alan Lazard, which was a failed back shoulder, an incompletion to Kenny Yeboah, but it says that it was good coverage by Quincy Williams, and then an incompletion to Alan Lazard dropped at the pylon. Rodgers' whole day stats is that he was 11 for 17 today on team drills and 7-on-7 drills. When targeting wide receivers not named Alan Lazard, when targeting pass catchers not named Alan Lazard, he was 10 of 12. When targeting Alan Lazard today, 1 of 5.
And not because Aaron Rodgers was wide, Tigo, right?
And the worst part is that this is goal line sequence that happened was against the backup secondary.
Yeah.
It was the backup secondary and defensive line, and the only starters that were out there were the starting linebackers. So it's still Quincy and CJ, which do an incredible job in their roles and coverage, but that should 1 of 5.
Yeah.
It's unacceptable. And look, let me be the first person to admit, when the offseason started, before the Aaron Rodgers stuff, I was in on Alan Lazard. I thought he would be a great addition in and around $7 to $8 million to be wide receiver 3, because people forget that Alan Lazard was brought in. We still had Corey Davis. And I thought, wow, this is going to be a great signing. And not only has he not lived up to the overpay at the $11 million, he has not done better than some of the undrafted free agents that we currently have on the team. I have gotten to a point with Alan Lazard to he was supposed to get better with Aaron Rodgers. And I understand that this is one day, but
OTAs.
Dude, they're not wearing pads. That means they can't hit you. The defense can't touch you. Yeah. And you're still dropping balls? This is unacceptable. And it's not like it's Zach who doesn't know how to throw a good ball to catch, right? That was the biggest complaint that we heard from pass catchers, and Zach doesn't throw an easy ball. It's at 95, 99 mile per hour fastball. He doesn't have a slider, a sinker. He doesn't have an off-speed ball. Aaron does. And you should know how to catch balls from Aaron because you've done it every year of your career except for one. At this point, and I know people, this might be an overreaction. At this point, cut him. Because if it means, look, we're not going to save any money if we do or whatever. But if you're asking me that when it comes down to the cut date and you're asking, would you rather keep Xavier Gibson or Alan Lazard? X can provide some level of value. And I just don't see where Alan Lazard is going to provide value. Because who's the big X? Well, we replaced him with Mike Williams. And if Mike Williams goes down with an injury, I would rather put Jason Brownlee out there. And if Jason Brownlee goes down, well, Irv Charles is making the team as a special teamer anyway. He's huge. I'd rather put him out there because I know what Alan Lazard is. And I'm just done with it. It's just, you were supposed to get better with Aaron Rodgers, and you have yet to show us at all that you can do anything at the NFL level. So I'm just done with it.
Yeah.
Done. There's my Alan Lazard rant.
Well, there it is. And I can appreciate that. Now, when I read it today, I actually read that. And I tell you, my honest reaction was come on, dude. Now, it's OTAs. And who knows? Maybe he's got allergies, maybe he's dealing with a spot of flu. We don't know. And it's OTAs. But no matter how you slice it, this is not what you want to read. Especially like Tigo just said, going from the whole Zach Wilson thing. That's the big excuse. Garrett Wilson, Aaron, Zach Wilson, Tim Boyle, whatever. By the time Tim Boyle came in, Lazard was already in the doghouse. So, but this is Aaron Rodgers. This is the guy. Now, maybe he's got to readjust to Aaron Rodgers' ball. I don't know. I think we overcomplicate the hell out of this stuff, man. When they talk about those types of things, dude, we've been playing football since we're in Pee Wee, Pop Warner. You get all sorts of different quarterbacks. I know they're finely tuned, athletic instruments. I get it. But it's a fucking football. Catch it. It comes fast, you catch it. It comes slow, you catch it. It comes high, you jump up and you catch it. It's low, you reach down and you catch it. That's what you do. We've been doing that. I used to play football, Tigo, in a bygone era. No helmets. We played tackle football.
In the streets.
No helmets, no pads, sometimes on the street. And we would, dude, I would sacrifice. I would come up. I would dive for a ball and get crushed. Wind knocked out of me. I'd get up. I'd put my head between my legs, get my wind back. I'd run back to the huddle, and I was back. You know what I mean? And it's just
blood
it's a
dripping
crazy
down your elbow because you just laid out
on pavement. It's a crazy thing. Now, look, again, guys, it's OTAs, and maybe he's not motivated. He's not up for it. Who knows? The day before he had a catch, they said he looks good or whatever. I don't know, man. But this was, clearly Aaron Rodgers was like, in my opinion, it sounds to me like A-Rod was trying to like feed him. Like, shut the world up, kid. Let's go. Me and you, buddy. And he dropped all but one. So it's not a good look. It's not a good look, and it's not a good start to the offseason program for him. But we got to figure it out, man. We got to figure it out with this.
And my thing is with Robert Saleh now taking a bigger role in the offense. If you're seeing this year after year, not year after year, but play after play, paying attention, trying to figure it out, like Saleh's already done with Lazard. We know that from the comments that he made last year. He basically told the world, we can't cut him now, but we're going to cut him at the end of next year. So Allen Lazard's going to be a free agent real soon. Dude, this is a win now year, and I don't see how Allen Lazard makes the roster of a win now team. I just don't see it. If you're serious about winning a Super Bowl, one of two things needs to happen. He either needs to turn it around and show that he can just be average, that he can be wide receiver 4, or you're gone, because there's no point in keeping you around because of the money. I just don't see a reason for it. Xavier Gibson provides a ton of value, in my opinion, with special teams and stuff. So, yeah.
All right. Look at these comments. I'm going to tell everybody in the comments, like, this is a football forum. We can talk about food or stupid shit, but no religion, no politics. Keep it all out. There's 800 million places you can go and talk about till your heart's content. You can argue with anybody about anything that you want. All right. Twitter, YouTube, there's a million channels for that. We don't need it. Like, this is the rest from that shit. Okay, everybody. So I won't ban or do anything right now, but I'm keeping an eye. Just let's fucking, we got 45 minutes or whatever. I don't know, 35 minutes left of the show. Let's just hang out and have some fun. So what do you think about, so Lazard, man, let's keep our eye on that son bitch, see how he does. Again, I think even if his value is he's primarily a blocker, he catches 25 balls this year, that kind of a thing, but he's out there blocking the shit out of people, like Nate is saying here, legal crackbacks for Corley. The value is there. And, that's very, very important. You kind of lose the blocking as you go down in, deeper into the defense. If you can have a wide receiver that's laying the wood out there, it's an incredible piece to the offense. Like, we saw it with Keyshawn and Corbett years ago. We saw it with Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker. And we see it all around the league. Steve Smith, Anquan Bolden, those guys, like, defensive backs knew, like, just because when this guy over here has the ball, I got to keep my eye out because Anquan Bolden's coming. Quincy Enunwa was good. He would lay your he would lay the wood. He would knock your head off.
Clean your clock.
So it's important. It's important. So if that's all he's doing and he does it well, then we've maximized, you know what I mean? Like, then we squeeze the lemon, Tigo. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And again, it's not like this whole Allen Lazard thing is like a massive thing of like concern, right? In my mind, he's wide receiver 5. Yeah. But like that's what at this point what we argue about is wide receiver 5, wide receiver 6, right?
We're not arguing about wide receiver 1, Tigo.
Yeah, no, Allen Lazard's not wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3, and in my estimation, he's not even wide receiver 4. And so, like, that's not the point. It's like this whole, it's kind of the opposite of what I've been having, like with this whole like Cohen signing that happened today, which is like a massive overreaction of like, oh, we signed a running back. That means everybody in the running back room sucks. And it's just like, it's May. We're allowed to have 90 guys. So we're going to have 90 guys on the roster. Like, that's it. Yeah. That's what happened today.
We're going to complain about 45 of them. You know what I mean? Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do.
But it's just at a point where after seeing him give up on the team, and there's no other word to say it, he gave up. You could see it in his body language and like everything. He just gave up. Aaron went down and he was like, I'm packing it in.
Wah! Right? Him and Uzoma, you know?
Yeah.
Did you see Garrett Wilson giving up? Did you see Jeremy Rucker giving up? Did you see Breece Hall giving up? No. Even little Gippy. Did you see Gippy giving? No, he's dropping the ball over the damn place. But was he giving up? No. He's trying his ass off. Now, I would like to see Brownlee get a shot. What about our undrafted free agent wide receiver? What the hell was his name? I dug into him a bit. Hold on.
Tyler Harrell?
Harrell. Yeah. What do you any chance here? You know, I mean, look, Lazard's on the team. That's the thing. We gotta remember that.
Maybe
so not. I mean, what's the way? Somebody trades for him? Who's trading for him?
No one's gonna trade for him. My thing is the question you have to ask yourself is, I think that we know who the 6 wide receivers on the roster are.
Yeah.
Or we know for certain that these 4 guys are going to be on the roster, and that's Mike Williams, Garrett Wilson, Malachi Corley, and then Irvin Charles. Those 4 guys are making the 53. I think we know that for sure.
Yeah.
I think Jason Brownlee makes the team. He's picked up right where he left off last year with Aaron Rodgers, it seems, from all of the reports that are coming out. And so that's 5 right there. And let's assume we don't carry 7 wide receivers like we did last year. Let's go back to the normal, which is 6. Now you have to ask yourself a question. Is Alan Lazard on the team more valuable than Xavier Gibson or Malik Taylor or Tyler Harrell or whoever it is that you're a fan of? Is he right now better than any of those guys? Or not even better, does he provide more value than any of those guys? And I don't know if that's a reality or if that's the truth. And it's just a matter of, we don't have the money to go out and sign a new wide receiver and things like that. So I get that. But I don't know. I just feel like it's just easier to just say, all right, cool. If he doesn't make the team, just cut him. Like that's just it.
I don't know.
Because we don't have another guy in the slot. Like if you want my honest opinion, we don't have a second guy in the slot. We have Mike Williams, the big X, and we have 2 backups for him in the big X, and Jason Brownlee and Irv Charles. We have Garrett Wilson, who's going to be no one can facsimilate Garrett Wilson, right? But then you have Malachi Corley, who's going to play in the slot, who's going to back him up in the slot. And that's where Xavier Gibson could come in, or even Malik Taylor could come in, or Tyler Harrell could come in. We don't need another 6'2 plus wide receiver in Alan Lazard. So
I don't know. Again, I think that the blocking prowess, the imposing physical presence that he can hit, it's just like having now. Look, you could say, hey, we can do that with a tight end. I get that. But a wide receiver running around that can lay the wood 15 yards for Garrett Wilson or Malachi Corley or whoever, there's value there too. If that's all you get, now it's not $11 million worth of production, but you're getting that. You know, I mean, if you can give me some options on who we're replacing him with and for what, because we're
Irv
tight.
Charles. 6'4", 220. Alan Lazard is 6'5", 225. Irv can't be worse.
I don't know. I mean, we don't know that. What if you get the exact same drops and you know what I mean? What if?
Well, at least Irv plays special teams.
Yeah, I get you. I'm with you.
Look, my hate for Alan Lazard might be coming out here a little bit on this one, and just him giving up on my football team. But yeah, he's probably on the roster. Let's be real. Yeah. But it's May. Why are we having measured takes in May? You know?
Right. Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. You don't want to. All right. You want to simmer down on the logic.
Let me relax.
I'm with it. Okay.
Right. In a couple of months, I'll relax. But
right now, he's gonna.
May. I'm gonna overreact because that's what you're allowed to do.
That's a great point, and I'm gonna allow you to do. I'm sorry. So hey, let's pivot real quick. Dakota's talking about the Tariq Cohen signing. Now, people are crazy about this one. Dakota says he loves it. The guy hasn't played in 3 years, right? Am I wrong on that?
2020 was his last rep.
Yeah. So I think he's a camp body. I know Salah said he's explosive. Now, just so we're clear, we have Brees Hall, the great Brees Hall. We also have last year's 5th round pick in Izzy Stradlin, Izzy Abanikanda. And we drafted 2 young running backs this year in Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis. Now, to me, you bringing on Tariq Cohen, it's fine, but it feels like a camp body to me. People getting excited about it. I mean, I don't know. Do you know what the contract is, Tigo? I didn't.
No, I haven't. I looked and I haven't seen any like numbers or anything like that. And I don't think we're going to get any numbers or anything because it's just
the minimum signing.
Yeah, it's going to be like this is a nothing signing. It's just
well, let me ask you.
He's a camp body. Like he's running back 5 to take reps so that linebackers can hit a dude. And it's one of those things where I remember when I said that I wanted us before the draft to go and get J.K. Dobbins if we could, because I didn't think the money was going to be all that great and the upside of him working out would be great. I think this is the same thing that's happening in reverse, where it's just like, hey, it's not, he doesn't have a massive upside, but if he can get to his old form, he probably beats out one of these rookies, or maybe not Braylon Allen, but he maybe beats Isaiah Davis out. He maybe beats Israel Abanikanda out, and you're just taking a swing. But he hasn't played in 4 years, and this idea that he's going to come in and do something after not playing for 4 years, I think is a little bit much. So, yeah, I just think.
All right. Well, let's take. I'm sorry. Complete your sentence.
No. Yeah, that was it. I was just like, I just think it's a nothing signing. I think it's, hey, we need a camp body. This running back that we have on the team right now very clearly isn't going to cut it. Let's find somebody else who might.
Okay. So, and I agree. The last year of any significant production was 2019. So we're talking about 4 straight years, 19, 20, 21, 20, 5 years, really. So we're 6 years removed from actual NFL production, right? Well, look at what he did. So he had 64 rushing attempts for 213 yards, and you see a little bit better the years before, right? So let's not remove that. 0 touchdowns. His greatest year with the rushing was the 3 touchdowns. But here's an interesting thing. That year in 2019, he also had 104 targets and 79 receptions, Tigo. 456 yards, 3 receiving touchdowns, which is interesting.
Very.
And you look, 71 receptions, 53 receptions.
It's a dual threat.
That's pretty interesting. And the other thing about him is special teams, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, and those aren't including his special teams numbers.
So here we go. He had, let's see here. We'll go to 2019. So the 2 years in a row, he had 33 returns. In 2018, what does that star mean? Does that mean so he's a Pro Bowler in 2018? Yeah. So 2000
and an All-Pro.
2018, 33 returns, 411 yards, a long of 44, a long of 71 in 2019. So this is, I mean, what was he? I guess only 3 games, so he's injured or something.
Yeah, he got hurt in 2020, I believe.
Yeah, but why? So look, with numbers like that, why hasn't he been back? Does anybody know?
Frankie mentioned it in the chat. Apparently there's a story written on the Players Tribune about his whole story. I don't know why he stopped playing, but whatever the reason is, whether it's something personal, whether it's an injury or whatever it is, it's still 4 years. That's it.
Right.
You know? And I think that's the biggest thing is just like it's been 4 years. 4 years out of anything is going to be hard to come back to. Like, especially when you're talking about like elite athletes.
No, I agree. And I think, look, I think like in 2018, he's a Pro Bowler, he's an All-Pro, first team All-Pro, everybody. So clearly the talent is there.
So apparently he tore his ACL in 2020, re-injured himself in rehab, and then tore his Achilles in 2022. So it's just since 2020 he's been hurt. Is what I'm seeing from the chat.
Yeah, it's just real hard to think now. Well, let me ask you this: does this in any way spell doom for Izzy?
I think it's too early to say that. I think it's too early to say that Izzy's gone or anything like that. It's just, I'm not saying that Izzy is safe, but I don't think that that conversation is that just because we signed Cohen, Izzy's gone kind of a thing. It's a camp battle. Like, I think, like you said, this is a camp body. This is a camp body with a shot. You know, like he has a real shot. And I think the other thing too is he's probably a guy that we're bringing in to put on the practice squad. Like that might be a thing where it's just like, hey, we don't know if you're going to make the team. We don't know if you're going to make the roster, but like stay around. Injuries happen. Like Izzy got hurt in preseason last year, you know, and what happens if another player starts on IR or something along those lines? It's good to have guys with potential, with upside. So I think Frankie took the words right out of my mouth. Cohen's a flyer you take on a player just because.
Fair enough.
He's a flyer that you take on a player because it's worth it. It doesn't cost you anything but money. It's not going to hit your cap hit, and it's not your money. It's Woody's money. So who cares about that? Right.
And I think like when you do take flyers, it's on one of two things. One is youth, athleticism, that kind of stuff, right? Like, hey man, he's maybe he doesn't have the perfect measurables and all that, but he's a hard worker, he's a gamer, he's athletic, and hey, get him in here to camp. We have to cut a whole mess of players later, but he's got a shot. If he can supplant somebody at the bottom end of the roster, why not? Mm-hmm. And the other one is exactly this type of guy. Former All-Pro, got some injuries like Kareem is saying here, tore his ACL in 2020, tore right Achilles in 2022. I think he had a fractured leg as well, I'm seeing.
Yeah, I saw a lot of things. I have no idea what happened, but
bad stretch for this fella.
Mm-hmm.
And so who knows, right? So you take a flyer. I mean, the worst thing, you need people in camp, and the worst thing that happens is you cut them, and it's probably, I wouldn't imagine it's any guaranteed contract. He's looking for a job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think that's the biggest thing is that he's just looking for a job. Jeremy has said it a couple times. Like, he was just cut by Carolina recently. And so, again, it's just, hey, you take a flyer and a guy who's just trying to find his way back to the NFL. And if it pans out and if Frankie isn't just yanking our chain and there's a great story out there, that's awesome. Like, that's what we want. We want great stories and we love that stuff. But if not, I just don't think I don't think this moves the needle. We're just excited because something happened.
I think that's more akin to the actual truth. Like, woo, new player, been to the All-Pro guy. All right. Yeah. And that's kind of the truth of it. But let's see, Jeremy. What's up, Jeremy? Good to see you, buddy. Jeremy taking a quick break from eating, which is nice to see. Mm-hmm. Because players come back after 4 years all the time. He was released by Carolina. He's a camp body, period. But I think I agree. Obviously, I've said it a couple of times. Tigo's right there. But I do think it's a good flyer to take.
Yeah.
I do.
Still wish it was J.K. Dobbins, but.
Yeah, so Michael Sam was inspirational too. That's funny. Yeah, I agree, Clancy. But you know what's interesting with Izzy is, like, number one, in the 2023 draft, right? This was a 2024. So last year's draft, 2023, when we drafted Izzy, not many Jets fans were clamoring. Like this year, even though it was in a similar time slot, so to speak, that we drafted Braylon Allen, Jets fans were resoundingly excited for that pick. Izzy was not one of the guys many of us, if any, were lobbying for. Now, that's not to say we don't like him. And when you look at him, you go, "Wow, man, that the speed is real, the home run threat is real." But he had, he wasn't a guy that we loved coming out. He's back end of the draft, so it's okay. But he wasn't a guy that we were like, "Oh yeah, this is a steal." And he had a year that's kind of reminiscent of that. It was, he struggled. He had the injury, like you mentioned, but he was healthy for the lion's share of the season, and couldn't really do much. Even when we traded Michael Carter, and we didn't have Bam Knight, of course, but that was more related to the Dalvin Cook signing. But we didn't get to see Izzy really. Nothing materialized with Izzy. And I think that I'm not saying he's off the roster. I'm not saying they're disenchanted with his potential or anything like that. But I do think the drafting of two running backs, even though they're different skill sets than him, and now signing Tariq Cohen, I do think that they're exploring. They want to see, like, Izzy, last year you were on the roster no matter what. You were a draft pick and all that jazz. I do think they're telling him in maybe unspoken terms, you're gonna have to earn this one, kid. There's some competition around. Lots of people in your age group. We got Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis now. So we got the three of you, young bucks. We got Tariq Cohen now to add, and Breece Hall's the entrenched bell cow. And it's like, if you're gonna make the roster, you're gonna have to earn it. Make the roster, right? Because we heard numerous times, one of the things that one of the rubs, so to speak, was that his pass protection was nil, and they require that at least to some degree. I mean, Michael Carter wasn't the greatest at it, but he would sacrifice his body at least, and Izzy, to not be able to show that you're even competent is a flag. And then when given the touches, he didn't really do much, and again, we're looking at 8 in the box, 9 in the box sometimes.
That's one of the things I think that he's getting an unfair kind of rap. Izzy, I was a big fan of Izzy coming out. I took him in mock drafts. If he was there in the 4th or the 5th, I took him because I wanted a running back, and I took him in almost every single mock draft in his year. And so I was a big fan of his. But like, we're comparing a 5th round pick to someone who should have gone in the 1st round in Breece Hall. We had a 1st round grade on Breece. Let us not forget that we tried to trade back into the 1st to get Breece, and even then traded up for Breece, right? And so even with all of that, like, it's not fair to compare a 5th round pick to a 2nd round pick. Breece Hall is a top 5 running back in the NFL. That's just real. And you know what? It's May. Why am I having measured take? He's the second best running back in the NFL behind Christian McCaffrey. But still, it's one of those things where, like, you're right. Doesn't do well in pass protection and needs to get better with his vision. And I'm not saying that he's this like great player, but like, behind this O-line where he isn't facing a stacked box, where he maybe can use his speed, and we're not running a wide zone running scheme. We're running a gap scheme. We're probably going to run more of a gap scheme, which might suit his skill set a little bit better. I'm just saying, don't give up on the kid. I think very clearly he's running back 3 right now, but I think that's his job to lose. I think he needs to overtake Braylon Allen, because I think Braylon Allen's skill set might fit the team better right now. But don't give up on that kid's speed. He's got wheels on him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm not out on him either. I think, again, a 21-year-old running back, you don't want to just toss those guys, especially for a guy who's been injured for 5 years. But again, I think it's a good idea. Competition is good. I mean, I'm
Always
a big fan of competition.
So I wanted to draft the tight end.
Oh, we have enough competition at tight end. And we have an undrafted free agent too. How do you pronounce that? Sefcik? Sefkick? Let me close this poll. See what people are thinking about the final wide receiver spot. Our options were Brownlee, Gibson, Lazard, and Harrell. 50% said Brownlee should be the final guy. He should make the roster. What is it? 25% said Gippy. Lazard 20%, and Harrell with a 3%. All of those votes were Kareem.
Yeah, he just made new accounts.
That's right. Well, we know he has 100 accounts. He says they're not me, but I don't know. We don't know. So I don't know, man. It's an interesting one. And again, going into training camp, bring in as many guys as you can. If you got some vets, you got some young, some guys with upside, bring them in if they're floating around out there. Like I've said a million times now, probably closer to 100, but I'll call it a million. I think that some of our undrafted free agents are destined to make this roster, guys. I mean, I really do. And I think for me, I know we all talk about Leonard Taylor, the third, is it? Yep. He's got a pretty good shot.
Oh, yeah, he's making the team.
I think the sneaky one is Brady Latham on the offensive line, out of Arkansas, I believe. And we were watching we were watching highlights. So let's keep it in perspective. Last week, we were just watching some stuff, and the guy, he's got this mean streak in him that is really, really appealing to me. And he likes to play just through the whistle, which I love. And he likes to put his guys on the ground as an offensive guard. And I just think, like, when you're looking at guys like Jake Hansen, Xavier Newman, Wes Schweitzer, I mean, there's nothing there. Not that I'm rooting for those guys, but there's nothing there that says that's the guy that you want as number 2. And totally Brady Latham, I think, has a sneaky good chance. So, and then the other one, Brady McGregor, I think it is, right?
Braden McGregor.
What did I say?
Brady.
Yeah, didn't I say that?
Yeah, it's Braden.
Braden?
Yes.
It's
Braden McGregor.
No way.
Another guy on the defensive end, that's defensive line, that's also making noise is Eric Watts. He's starting to make some noise. There's a lot of these guys that are like our undrafted free agents that are going to make this team, and I think that are going to play roles that are a little bit bigger than we might expect. Guys like Eric Watts and Braden McGregor and Leonard Taylor and Brady Latham, like, these are guys that are going to get some looks on this team.
You're right. It is Braden. You were right.
I have the depth chart right here.
Yeah, you're looking at it. You know what you're doing. So Braden McGregor's another one. So I think, what's interesting? Let's talk about this real quick. The Jets defensive line has been our pride and joy for the past couple of years. Obviously, we got Saucy Sauce and Quincy Williams and DJ Reed and CJ Mosley as a stalwart. So we're very, very Michael Carter II. We're very delighted with all those guys. But I think as a unit, the defensive line has been, in many ways, our pride and joy. And we shook it up this year. We lost Bryce Huff. We lost JFM. We lost Quentin Jefferson and Al Woods. Even though those were one-year guys, they made their impact. And so it's interesting. Now we got Hassan Reddick. I think, I would be very surprised if he didn't at least be Hassan Reddick for us, right? So that's good. But we also have a former first-round pick from last draft, Will McDonald coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So we can replace those, we can kind of compensate for the JFM, Bryce Huff departures. And then you got, the interior guys. You got Javon Kinlaw and you got Leaky Fotu coming
Charlie
in.
Thomas.
Well, Sally's still there. I'm just trying to the changes.
New guys? Oh.
The new guys versus the guys that we left. But don't forget, what's interesting? In all of our discussions, we rarely mention the departure of Carl Lawson, probably because you didn't play much last year. But we're talking about a whole mess of playing time that needs to be filled right now.
Yes.
Hassan Reddick's going to fill a lot of that. Javon Kinlaw is going to fill a lot of that. I think Will McDonald's going to get a nice chunk, a nice uptick in his percentage of plays.
Yep.
But guys like Taylor, guys like McGregor, I think they have a viable chance of squeaking in there. I mean, let's see who the guys are, right? So we have Javon Kinlaw. It looks like, on this depth chart, Fotu is his backup, so they'll be rotating. And Leonard Taylor is behind Bruce Hector. You think Leonard Taylor can kind of bump him? Well, I think so.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I think the question, the real question that you have to ask with the defensive line is it going to be 9 or 10 players that we're going to carry on the roster? Because we know how much we like it. And if it's 9, do you carry a 5th edge or a 5th interior defensive lineman? What's the 5th player, right? Because the battle on the defensive line is going to be, in my opinion, the most compelling one of all of this offseason, because there is a legitimate conversation to have about Leonard Taylor, who I had a really, really high. I had a second or third round grade on him. To see him go undrafted blew my mind. In summer scouting, people had him with a first round grade, and they played him out of position at Miami. So there's that. Then you got guys like Eric Watts and Braden McGregor coming in and making waves. And let's not act like there isn't a job to be had. I know that we like the story that is Michael Clemens, but I don't think that he has a guaranteed roster spot. So now you're talking about, can a guy like Eric Watts or Braden McGregor push Michael Clemens off of the roster? Or can a guy like Leonard Taylor push a guy like Lecky Fotu off of the roster? The money that's in these guys isn't all that great. You can cut Lecky Fotu. That's just, he's not making so much money that you can't cut him.
I'll take a look.
He has a $2.3 million cap hit. If you cut him, you would save 300 grand. Again, so it's not like it's this massive amount of dead money that you're taking on. The real thing I think that upsets me is the fact that is the Kinlaw contract. I know he's not going anywhere, but and I guess the Solly contract as well, because it's just they're not going anywhere either. And you can cut both the Solly contract and the Fotu contract, and I don't think they're going anywhere. I don't know if you're going to be able to stash Leonard Taylor on a practice squad.
I agree.
So you have to start asking your questions of can you stash Eric? The conversation, that's going to be the hardest spot on the 53-man roster, in my opinion, for the New York Jets, is going to be on the defensive line. And how do you handle it? Do you carry one less linebacker? Do you just say it's Quincy, CJ, Sherwood, and Barnes, and then you're done in the linebacker room so that you can carry extra defensive linemen? Do you carry a one less defensive back to carry the defensive lineman? That conversation to me is going to be the most interesting. And then it's obviously the offensive line, because you're going to want to carry as many bodies as possible, just because the last 2 years have shown us that you should.
Yeah. Well, I think we carry, it's tough, man, but I would say it's realistic to think that one, if not both, are carrying 10. So yeah. So I would, in that case, looking at this depth chart, I could see Taylor and Braden McGregor be in the bottom end.
Yeah.
The final two. I could see it.
And it would totally make sense if they did that. And like justifiable, because the upside on a guy like Leonard Taylor, you can't pass up on that, in my opinion. It's the same thing with Tariq Cohen, but like with an undrafted free agent. You can't pass up on that kind of level. So the camp battles this year are going to be so much fun to watch. And I can't wait till when we get into camp, because that's where the conversations are really going to go off. Because I'm an Eric Watts guy. I've been seeing a lot of his name coming up. So I think he probably makes it over Braden McGregor. I don't know. Like, you're going to find your guy and you're going to fall in love with him. I am totally bought. I'm Leonard Taylor the third all the way. Last year it was Jason Brownlee. This year for me, it's Leonard Taylor. I've hopped on the bandwagon early.
Yeah. Well, let's get Sam Aiken bringing up. Thank you, Sam. He says, when are we as Jets fans going to stop accepting mediocrity and cowardice? Lazard, Cohen, Hackett should not be anywhere near this team. Well, I think the difference is, I hear you 100%, Sam. I think the big difference is we're not talking about our starters and twos. And for many years, we're having this exact conversation for wide receiver 1.
Yeah,
truly.
Yeah.
Or wide receiver 2. We're literally talking about the final roster spots. So these are the types of players. And it's like, you have these discussions on what brings more to that bottom end of the roster. Is it experience with an injury history, but clearly, an effective player when he's healthy, or young legs? Young upside, youth. So I think there's a significant difference. I hear you totally, but it's a big, big difference from where we've been. Now, Hackett's here because Aaron Rodgers is here. We know that. Yeah. That it just is what it is, man. And he's a nice guy, but that's why he's here. Aaron Rodgers wants him. They, in their last time together, which is not that long ago, everybody, back-to-back MVPs. It got Hackett a head coaching job, for God's sakes. That's how good it was. So that's what that is. There's been great success with that combination. For whatever reason, whatever it is, they jive. But talking about Tariq Cohen, and some of the guys we were mentioning, Braden McGregor and all, dude, these are the back end of the roster. I mean, you're not going to have starter potential there in most instances, but the truth is we have some real upside with guys like Brownlee, in my opinion, Leonard Taylor, Braden McGregor, Brady Latham. Like, these guys, in my opinion, it's the exact guys you want on the bottom end. So it's an interesting thing. Now, we are at the end of our show. It happened fast.
It really did. It always flies.
Yeah, it does. But this was fun, man. And look, we can talk about this stuff. I did want to get to some Quinn and William comments, but we didn't.
Oh, it was hilarious.
Yeah, it was great. He's like, what? 20 years? Wait a minute. You got 0 on here. He's 20 years old. So you're saying he's been playing since he's been born? Like, holy shit.
His career is as long as that kid's life?
Yeah, it's so great.
Really quick tangent. So I'm a big soccer fan, and one of my favorite players this is his last year. He's retiring. His last game is in 2 days for my favorite team. And I have 2 kids, and I have 2 boys. And I'm just like, my kids aren't going to know any of these players. They're not going to, it's like my kid, my youngest would not be alive at any point in his life where Tom Brady was an NFL quarterback. I don't remember an NFL before Tom Brady. That's in my own life.
Yeah.
And that, you obviously, time goes on, players come and players go, but it's just crazy to think like Braylon Allen in his entire life does not know of an NFL without Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Just doesn't, that doesn't exist in his world. And now he's on a team with him. And it's crazy to think about, like, what are those situations with my kids? That's a different tangent. But yeah, I was just thinking about that.
Well, it's very interesting to think about that. It's crazy, but all we got to do is win the Super Bowl, and I'm going to be happy, Tigo. But guys,
Yes.
that is our show. I want to thank everybody for hanging out. The numbers, we got there. So you guys are the best. Look, we're still talking Jets in the dark ages here, which is amazing. I love us for that. I want to thank Tigo for hanging out. Tigo's channel, Talking Jets with Tigo. The link is in the description. Let's not forget to support him. Please drop those milk thumbs before you leave. Smash that like button. And don't forget to subscribe to the Talking Jets channel if you haven't already. It is greatly appreciated, everybody. With that said, tomorrow night, I will see you for the Thursday Thick of It on GreenBean Jetsfan with our pal Gunny. And we'll cut it up for a couple hours with you guys and have some fun. Guys, have a great night. We will see you next time.